Want to actually start talking actually about Ivania really quick. And Ivania, I wanted to ask you a question because Ivania was a real estate agent that did not want to get into the tech world, right? She was afraid of the blockchain. However, you guys, she worked with Propy, and now she transacts every single real estate on chain. And so I kind of want to just talk to you, Ivania, of how that kind of landscape changed for you, and how did you go from traditional to now being forward thinking, and then what do you see in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So, as he said, I was so hesitant at first because it's a new system. Florida doesn't have like a one streamlined platform to use all across, and my career started in Colorado, so I was used to using a different platform. But when I discovered Propy, came to the summit last year, learned a lot about what is happening in the future, which is already here happening in front of us. I just decided to jump in. And that was my first step. And now I cannot go back. I send all of my offers, whether it is on the buying side or on the listing side. It's just how everything is so transparent from the buyers, the sellers, the title company, the lender. It's really easy to see in live time. So if I'm traveling or if I'm out of town, I'm already ahead of the curve. I'm not missing a beat. So that's why I think Propy being such a great platform, I see in the future that Florida could implement this platform for all the agents to use for transparency purposes. That's what I see in the future.
Awesome, thank you. And Anna, analysts.
Hello.
Right? That is what you're all about. What I want to ask is on a macro level, the shifts that we've seen in real estate has definitely been observed and felt throughout. What kind of shifts in new technologies do you see in real estate, and how are people adapting to them?
Well, I want to put this answer within the context of inevitability of change. There's this sort of fallacy in human nature and resistance to change. The fallacy is that people tend to think that how life is how life will continue to be. And that is the opposite of the truth. If we think about it, we have this device that was magic 20 years ago. In the middle of the 20th century, we had floors of offices filled with people using typewriters, typing, because that's their job, and they were replaced by computers. So this progression towards AI is the next inevitable shift in our progression of how we use technology. So it's not a question of is it going to happen? It's a question of when and how quickly. And I think that as real estate professionals, the faster one accepts that, the easier it will be for one to position oneself ahead of that curve and avail oneself earlier than others and get that itch. Because it is about positioning yourself in front of trends, be they market trends. Like, for example, now we have this tremendous shift in economic focus in our country away from 20th century capitals such as New York City towards new ones such as South Florida. And this is going hand in hand with technological shifts, which are sort of supercharging each other. Because COVID, in essence, here's what's important to recognize. It supercharged our departure from 20th century ways of life and 20th century capitals. The way that we went to work, the way that we use technology, the way we structured our days and our businesses, all of these constructs were already in place before the internet. People are creatures of habit. COVID came and broke habits and allowed for the adoption of new ones. And this adaptation of AI is the next step. I mean, Collins Dictionary said that the word AI was the word of the year. So it's on everyone's mind. And then what is AI if we're talking about it, right? What do we all think AI is? I think that fundamentally it's machines that can solve problems for us, that can think, whatever that means, what machines think, and solve problems for us. That means that they can make us better at what we do, make us faster, make us more efficient. And I think that especially for young agents, they can get that edge over people who are older and perhaps more resistant to change. So that's where I see it's going. I think it's going towards making us better at what we do, certainly not replacing us, because you can't replace that human interaction, especially in a business like real estate.
Yeah, and that's it. Real estate is such a relationship-based business. Real estate agents are always going to have a job, always have a place, right? Christina, you being one of the luxury agents here today, so much growth. What AI are you guys using on your guys' teams to kind of get yourself ready for the future and to make yourself relevant to today's market?
Thank you for that question. I love what you said, Anna, because, and I'll jump right into answering your question. AI is changing the way we do real estate, whether we like it or not. I was one of those people that was resistant to change. Before I was a real estate agent, I was a reporter. And I remember sitting and doing a story and having an idea of how one day we're going to be here. I didn't realize it was going to happen this fast, where we have technology that's helping us move our business forward faster. And the technology is still new. One of my favorites that I'm using right now, I'm sure, I mean, I just want to quickly poll the room. How many of you are using ChatGPT, just out of curiosity? Okay, good. So there's some context here, because some agents don't even know what AI is. So there's a lot of people here that are moving forward with change, and that is a great thing. That means you're going to be a leader in your industry, and the rest of the people are going to fall off. Our team is using it to speed up the process with less error, and so I'm more available to be in front of my client and communicate effectively with data that has been verified and found using AI. As a reporter, I don't know if anyone's here been a reporter, you have to research, and that took time, it took energy, it took a lot of energy to get that information, and now it's at our fingertips. The technology is verifying the internet quickly. One of my favorite things to do is, for example, when I'm doing a live, or if I'm preparing for an appointment, some of the key topics that are trending right now online in regards to real estate, I used to have to go and seek out information through news outlets. Now it just comes by asking a simple question, and this technology is interacting with you. So I think it's really, really useful. It's made me more efficient and saves me and my team a lot of time.
Cool, thank you. Daniel, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you. Yes, I agree exactly with everything that you mentioned. And I believe that speed is everything in real estate. You have to be fast. You snooze, you lose. You have to go for it. And I think Propy is doing an awesome job providing the tool to be fast. We like the option to send the offers to our listing sellers fast and be able to act on it immediately, so we don't lose opportunity. So speed is essential. I think that's very good. And I think technology is going to only enhance this, make it better. I don't think there's any room for the agent to disappear, because you do have that relationship like you mentioned. And I think this is the technology is just going to enhance, be a tool for every agent to be more successful. I think the key in real estate is leverage, and this is going to provide the leverage for all of us to be better at what we do.
Great point. Lizeth, you are, I think, way ahead of the game when it comes to blockchain. You were looking at it years ago in the real estate space now. You've seen the change from going very traditional to now blockchain, and you're speaking at the UN and all these events. What are some trends that you're seeing? And do you feel that agents now are getting more on board with the new technology, trusting AI, understanding, taking a dive into blockchain? What are just some of the trends that you're seeing with agents?
Well, definitely the trends. ChatGPT is everywhere out there, not only obviously in real estate, but it has certainly become this tool that will help us to scale our businesses. ChatGPT came, or not AI as a whole, came as a great tool for us to just focus and bring in more business, become better expertise, and also leverage this knowledge, because it's not just the profit side, it's also about the knowledge and being able to bridge this gap between the investors and what's out there for them. Like Ms. Cardone said, we are in a new era where a lot of opportunities, and we can take these opportunities to our investors. At the end of the day, that's what we're here to give knowledge and guidance, so we can all overcome new recessions and geopolitical tension times, and we can all thrive as long as we go on the good side of the technology, and that's what we're here for as well.
Especially with ChatGPT, there's a little bit of trust, like you said, right? We're just asking questions, we're receiving an answer, and we just kind of say, okay, well, that's just what that's what the answer is. LC, what kind of legal things are you getting into and seeing out there? And how do we protect ourselves?
Yeah, so it's a rapidly evolving space, but there's definitely some pitfalls and some friction in this space because the laws haven't quite caught up yet. So what we're seeing is a lot of concern about what information is shared with the AI and then how that information is used. Attorneys, there's several tools for attorneys like Spellbook where you can have an add-on to your Microsoft Word and add clauses. But it gets really scary when you don't know how they're pulling their data or if they're using your contracts in their database, because now you've breached attorney-client privilege. And there's certain confidentialities that real estate markets have to follow, and basically any industry, there's standards. So it's really the data privacy that's at the top of the concern in terms of the AI aspect of things, because you don't sit down and read the terms. No one has sat down and read the terms of use for ChatGPT, but most people in this room have raised their hand to say, I've used ChatGPT. So you don't really know where that data is going. And there's already been some case law where engineers have uploaded their proprietary code into certain AI models to test it. And now that proprietary code is arguably not necessarily proprietary anymore because it's been shared. And that will be litigated in time. But as you know, the law is slow and technology is fast. So we, as lawyers in this space, try and advise best practices because you'll be essentially setting these best practices as you go. So these points of friction need to be worked out quickly because the technology is only going to get more pervasive. And once this snowball takes off, it's going to get too big to really stop. So you want to be thoughtful about how you're using the tech today. In terms of blockchain use, Propy is doing a great job of trying to put things on chain and really bringing that torch of getting all titles on chain, which would really transform the real estate industry as a whole. But even the more creative uses that we're seeing, forming DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations to kind of fractionalize real world assets, or just generally using real world assets and partnering them on the chain, which is called twinning. So you're seeing all of this kind of get worked out on the fly. But when you're in that realm, now you've got two areas of law to work with. You've got the traditional law of whatever real estate item that's not changing. And now you've got this added layer of blockchain and securities and AML, KYC, data privacy, because you're putting it on chain. So the regulatory lift or the legal lift becomes a little bit elevated when you're navigating all of that. And that's basically what we do in our practice is try and navigate that and create best practices for what's reasonable given the law isn't quite caught up yet.
You have your work cut out for you. I know. Awesome. Thank you for that. Lastly, we got to just kind of sum these things up. I just kind of want to go around the panel really quick. If we were to close our eyes and in 10 years we open them again, what does real estate look like for us? Daniel, let's start with you.
I actually believe that real estate is going to change drastically in the next years, like we heard everybody talk about it. I still believe that the agent is going to be the key, and the technology is going to help the agent get to a different level of productivity. The agent is going to be having all these tools, like we was explained before, that AI is going to provide, and the security of the Web3 and everything else, the blockchain. And I believe that the agent is going to have a lot more opportunity in the future than we see it today. I think that's going to grow tremendously in the next couple of years.
The way I see it, I feel 10 years from now, we are going to be doing click and buy transactions, and realtors will become more like data miners. We're going to make sure that information is being placed, it is the correct one, and certainly, obviously, guiding when we mine this data, or even guiding the sellers more. It's going to be a seller's market, I think. And so that's where we're still going to be needed, but definitely friction is going to be out of the way, and it's just going to be a trustless system as a whole.
I think in general, two words, more efficient and more virtual. And I think we're going to continue to see a divergence in the high end and the low end segments of our market, which is, I think, going to be part of our country's ongoing wealth polarization and geographic polarization that we have now. So we have recession fears, whatever downward indicators, and then you have cars that cost over $500,000 a year clocking in record sales volume. So at the high end of real estate, which is our best performing segment here in South Florida, if you isolate our market on a price per square foot, past 2,000 a square foot, we're many multiples ahead of pre-COVID levels. So that's all part of geographic and wealth gap polarization. At the high end, it's going to remain personal. I do not think it's data mining at the high end. At anything that's a more of a ubiquitous sort of volume-driven lower end business, more efficient and more virtual. And I just want to emphasize, I think this is a very exciting time to be number one in South Florida, and number two, to be sort of at this advent of the next iteration of how we use the internet and computing. So we're all lucky to be here.
I definitely believe that in the next 10 years, we're going to have less realtors in the industry because human beings as a whole, we're not comfortable with change. And as you can see in this event, which Propy is doing an amazing job, if you're not following them for all the latest trends on social, you should do that because it puts you ahead of the curve. So it's going to eliminate a lot of realtors who are not keeping pace with all the evolving technologies that are helping us streamline the business. Do I think AI is going to remove real estate agents entirely? Absolutely not. We have the most important task, and you have to keep this in mind. The communication with your clients, with your investors is extremely important. Yes, AI is helping us leverage that and speed it up, but you cannot remove that. I think the biggest and most expensive currency is going to be communication and having that trust and moral ethics between your clients, and AI is just a bonus to help us get those transactions done more efficiently.
So I agree with everything that Dave had said. So two words for me would be efficiency and transparency. And, for agents here in this room, the future is here. Whether, you want to participate in this evolving change, that's optional, but getting on board the sooner the better, so that, you are basically moving ahead of the curve. That would be my my advice to these agents here in this room.
I think we'll see a lot of tokenization, fractionalization of real estate. But I think with that, as Anna said, we've seen a change in our values, our value proposition. So as that develops, I think we'll see creative solutions, so that tokenization or fractionalization of real estate might come with tiered ownership. That tiered ownership could look like a life estate, and all of a sudden life estates are popular again, or this new mechanism for a varied ownership model. So I think you're going to see really creative solutions because the value proposition is changing. There's a shift, especially as millennials get a stronger portion of the wealth to spend. Their interest might not be in home ownership. It might be in fractionalized ownership or co-op style living. So that'll lead to more creative solutions. And as that develops and the tech develops, you'll really start to see innovation get pushed and new models for what ownership looks like getting pushed.
Fractionalization later today. Can't wait to dive into that. Thank you so much. Congratulations on all your guys' success.